much for joining me today in the first of a series on how yoga can help improve your digestion and help you maybe avoid some of the yucky symptoms that many people experience. Indigestion, pain, bloating, gas, and unpleasant trips to the loo. So when I'm working with clients, before leaping to any complicated explanations of why they might be having digestive symptoms, I always like to start with the basics. So these are simple practices which might seem really obvious, but are you doing them? So if your digestion isn't as flash as you would like it to be, I invite you to follow this series and join me each day, and maybe just for this week set an intention to be more mindful about what, when, and how you eat. So you might find by taking on some of these simple practices around food that the effects magically ripple into the rest of your life. So this is one of the magical things about yoga and why I love it so much, is that by doing simple, regular, consistent practices, we actually find that I find that I'm able in my everyday life to manage my emotions better, my reactions, my responses to stress in the world. And if there's a lot of stress around you at the moment, maybe just taking on some of these simple practices around food might help. So today I'm going to talk about the nervous system, and I'm starting here because I believe it's the most important factor when it comes to our digestive health. So traditional forms of medicine such as Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine have recognized for many, many years that our emotions affect our health. And it's now even recognized in conventional medicine that stress is a major cause of digestive problems and many, many other health issues. And the connection between the mental and the physical body, which used to be in the realm of the woo-woo, is now present in conventional medicine with the growth of such areas as neurogastroenterology, psychoneuroendocrinology, and psychoneuroimmunology. So long words, and we won't go into those today. So keeping it really simple for today, let's just start by taking a quick look at how the nervous system works. So as you know, we have the sympathetic nervous system, which this is the stress response. This is often known as the fight, flight, fawn, or freeze response. They keep adding more and more F's to this list. And it can be really useful in certain circumstances when we need to perform, but it's not helpful when we can't turn the volume down. And in our everyday world at the moment, we're often in our sympathetic nervous system. So we're continually in this sort of chronic stress response. So imagine what it's like for your digestive system when you're continually putting food in and the body is actually saying, no, it's not safe to eat right now, there's danger present. So we've shut the digestive system down so that you can focus on more important things like running away or fighting. So on the other hand, the rest and digest side of the nervous system is called the parasympathetic nervous system. And this is the lovely calm state that we feel perhaps at the end of our yoga class when we've stretched and moved and we're lying down in Shavasana and we feel that lovely sense of peace and calm and we think, oh, I'm going to stay like this forever. But of course, we never stay in one or the other forever. And it's the balance between the two that's really important so that we can transition easily into the sympathetic nervous system when we need to do stuff, make decisions, be active, and then come right back down into the parasympathetic nervous system in between, like a wave going throughout the day. So there is a third part of the nervous system that I want to mention called the enteric nervous system. And this is basically the nervous system inside the gut, and it's also known as the second brain or the gut brain, because of how important it is to our health. And it's really an intermediary between the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous systems. So when the sympathetic nervous system is activated, it tells the enteric nervous system to put things on hold for a bit while we're dealing with more important problems. And when the parasympathetic nervous system is activated, the ENS gets the message that it's safe to digest and assimilate our food. So if we want our digestion to work well, we want our enteric nervous system to be functioning well, it's important that we know how to come out of the sympathetic and into the parasympathetic nervous system, especially around the times that we eat. So how can we do this? So I'm going to give you a few strategies today, and as I said, they might seem really obvious to you, but just think about it. Are you actually doing these things? Because I know that I do not do these things all the time, so just like you, have to constantly remind myself. And maybe this week we could focus on that for a week and just notice what effects that has on our digestion, and as I said, rippling into our everyday lives. So the first thing that I would suggest is making conscious food choices. So if you have the time, say it's your evening meal, you've got a bit of time for cooking, maybe you could cook your own food, however simple that is, from fresh, whole food ingredients as far as possible. And if you haven't got a lot of time to go shopping, you could maybe get an organic box delivered, or you could buy in bulk from your local food co-op, supporting your local markets, your local suppliers at the same time. And if you haven't got time, if you need to take a packed lunch out to work with you, or you just don't want to take a big break in the middle of your working day if you're working from home, then make sure you've got a range of healthy, easy to eat snacks that you can put together a lunch really quickly. So quite often my lunch plate will just look like a plate with little piles of different things. So maybe a few almonds, a couple of slices of capsicum, cucumber, a few cherry tomatoes. I'm at the moment obsessed with eating black tahini for all its lovely magnesium and calcium, so a bit of that on the plate. Maybe some nut butter, some crackers, perhaps some vegan cheese. So it's just a little bit of mandarin or something like that. Just a few little different things. I prefer a grazing plate if you like. And that takes 2 minutes to put together. You just run to your fridge and just put all these things on a plate or in a box to take with you. So food that is really good for you, it's every time you put something in your mouth, you're thinking, what is this doing for my body and soul as well? So good for you in different ways doesn't exclude you having treats now and again, because treats are really good for the soul. But on the whole, it means making choices of food that has a lot of nutrients in it. So nutrient-dense food rather than nutrient-poor food. So if you have made all this effort to make all this beautiful food, you're going to be excited about it. You're going to have anticipation. You're going to feel good about sitting down to eat it. So then you sit down, the food's in front of you, you're ready. But before you pile in, and this I think is one of the most important practices, I really invite you to pause. And you can pause and take a moment for gratitude. It's not hard to do when you've already made such good choices. You can have gratitude for the beautiful food in front of you, for the earth for providing it, for all the people that brought the food to your plate, for yourself for having the money and the wisdom enabling you to be able to buy and make these food choices, for the people you're eating with, for the place you're eating in. I really love to eat my food outside in my garden when I can, for the time to enjoy it. So what I recommend is that you sit, before you eat, you just sit quietly and you take 5 calming breaths. So to give your body time to come from the sympathetic nervous system into the parasympathetic nervous system. So let's just do that now, just so you get the feel of that. So just wherever you are, just sitting really steady and still and upright, and just allow your weight to drop down into the bottom of your body. Just feel yourself sinking down onto your chair or into your feet if you're standing up. And start taking a nice deep breath in through the nose and out. Just keep breathing like that. Long, deep, smooth breath through the nose and a slow exhalation. And notice, this is the time you're giving yourself to notice how you are. It's a simple practice, but it's an advanced awareness. So tune into what your nervous system is doing. How fast is your heart beating? Do you feel fluttery inside? Is it difficult for you to take a deep breath? Do you feel like you need to breathe more quickly? So don't strain with the breathing, just breathe at a comfortable rate for you. And start to notice when your system starts to slow down. This might take 3 breaths, 5 breaths, 10 breaths. But instead of thinking about rushing on to the next thing, I know you're keen to eat your food, take this time because you're going to get so much more out of it if you do. So when you notice yourself settling down into that calmer place, you can eat. Now think about, what do you normally do while you're eating? Are you even sitting down? Number 1, please make sure you're sitting down with your food in front of you. And secondly, are you distracted? So just for this week, I would invite you to, if you are willing, to not have any distractions while you're eating. So that means no phone, no computer, no watching TV, no thinking about the next thing you got to do this afternoon, making hurried notes. Really just try to stay present with what's happening right now, which is you eating this delicious food. So I know that's really hard, and we all do it, but just try it for this 1 week. Try it for 1 day and see if it makes a difference. Now, when you're eating your food, see if you can eat slowly. Take your time to appreciate each bite of your food. So this might be noticing the flavor, the color, the texture of the food, and just focusing on the nourishment that you're going to receive from it. And sometimes I like to imagine my body receiving the food and digesting it really well. If you sort of visualize that your food is going to be well digested and you're staying focused on each bite, it's really going to help to keep you in that calm, settled place that you got to with the breathing. And don't forget to chew your food really well. When I was studying nutrition at college, one of my lecturers always used to talk about how important it was to chew your food to a paste. And I used to think, wow, I don't think I'm actually doing that. So think about it. Are you actually doing that with each bite of your food? Are you chewing it into tiny, tiny little pieces so that your body can digest it more easily and receive more of the nourishment? So if you're not, there's another thing to think about for today, maybe for this week. And then eating to appetite. If you are eating slowly, if you are chewing your food well, you're much more likely to know when you're full, to notice when you're full. And when you do notice that, stop eating. I know it seems like a lot of us have been taught to eat everything on our plate and it's wasteful not to. And if you really feel that, then please save your food for later if you really can't bear to throw it away. But think about this. Wouldn't you rather to waste your food in the bin or the compost or for the dog than to overburden your body with more food than it's ready to digest. So that you've eaten your lovely meal, you've finished now, don't just jump up and run away. See if you have the time after you've finished. See if you can make a little bit of time after you've finished for you. So this is your time now to digest your food and perhaps do something just really nourishing for yourself. It only needs to be 5 or 10 minutes if you don't have very long. Maybe you could read, listen to music, walk around, look at the plants in your garden, go for a short walk up and down the street. Just taking your time, not just checking your emails and going straight back to the phone, but just some you time, some really nourishing time. And make sure that you stay sitting upright or maybe just walking slowly during this time so that your body can digest your food. I would suggest this is a really good opportunity for you to choose a book that you've been meaning to read, or an audio book you've been meaning to listen to, or an album you've been really wanting to listen to. Make that your focus for the week, just this 5 or 10 minutes after you're eating, and that's a real treat for you to do then. So the last thing around eating is when it's your evening meal, if it's your last meal of the day, please try and make sure that you eat this at least 3 hours before you go to bed, to give your body time to digest the food before you lie down. So this is going to help you if you experience any symptoms of acid reflux when you lie down at night. And it's also really good for your body to get a chance to rest where you're literally not eating anything for quite a long period of time. So I'd love to talk another time about the benefits of intermittent fasting, of having a longer overnight fasting period. But just for now, just try and finish eating by 3 hours before you go to bed. So I really hope some of these tips have resonated with you. As I said, I know that some of them are really obvious, but it's really quite encouraging to feel that good digestion is not as complicated as you might think. And if you try to bring in a few of these simple tips, you may be saved from going into further, more complicated investigations and remedies later on. So just remember, the things that work are usually the things that you already know, but you're not doing. So good luck with taking on some of those tips today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.